Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to a beautiful brand new day, and welcome back to a beautiful new parable that we're examining today. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed yesterday's on salt and light. This parable of the lamp on a stand is immediately following yesterday's of salt and light. And this one is interesting because it appears in Matthew, Mark, and Luke, but in each gospel there's some slight differences. And in order to really understand this parable, you have to read all three of them side by side to get all the information to gather its true meaning. So I'm going to do that, but I'm going to read first in Matthew, then Mark, and then Luke, and then I'm going to explain all of it. So you can follow along with me, or you can simply just listen. Starting off in Matthew, this is what it says. He says, "You are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on its stand, and it gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven." Okay, seems pretty straightforward. Letting your light shine and your good deeds reflect on what God is doing in you. Okay, let's see what Mark has to say. Mark says this. He says, "Do you bring in a lamp and put it under a bowl or a bed? Instead, don't you put it on its stand? For whatever is hidden is meant to be disclosed, and whatever is concealed is meant to be brought out into the open. If anyone has ears to hear, let them hear." Then he goes on to say this. "Consider carefully what you hear," he continued. "With the measure you use, it will be measured to you, and even more. Whoever has will be given more. Whoever does not have, even what they have will be taken from them." So that's a little confusing, right? Doesn't seem to fit in with Jesus' message of selflessness and giving, but we'll explain that in a second. Then we get the last bit of information, maybe the most key information, from Luke, and this is what Luke says. He says, "No one lights a lamp and puts it in a place where it will be hidden or under a bowl. Instead, they put it on its stand so that those who come in may see the light. Your eye is the lamp of your body. When your eyes are healthy, your whole body is also full of light. But when you are unhealthy, when they are unhealthy, your body will also be full of darkness. See to it then that the light within you is not darkness. Therefore, if your whole body is full of light and no part of it dark, it will be just as full of light as when a lamp shines its light on you." So we have kind of a bunch of different variations, different elements within this one parable. You have the lamp on the stand, you have this light that is in us, all of us, right? Because Christ says very specifically in Matthew, "You are the light of the world." It's sort of an indistinguishable fact, is how the statement comes across. But then we see in Mark, he's talking about with those with eyes, let them see, and ears, let them hear. And then he says this really weird thing. Whoever has will be given more, and whoever doesn't have, even what they have, is going to be taken from them. What does that mean? That simply means that whoever has eyes to hear, or eyes to see and ears to hear, whoever has will be given more. Those who have a strong desire to see what it is that God is doing in the world and hear and perceive with the senses, those who have that desire will be given more. They will perceive more of what God is doing in the world. Kind of easy to understand in that aspect. But those who don't have, even what they do have, will be taken away from them. That's a little bit harder to understand, but it's kind of the opposite of what I just described. Those who don't really care about seeing what God is doing in the world, those who are maybe overcome by all of the nonsense that is going on around us all the time, maybe they don't really have the inclination or the desire to see how God is moving in the world and what God is doing. Therefore, even though they have senses to perceive God, because they don't really care to do it, that ability's not going to be serving them very well because they don't care to use it. All right, the last bit, talking about the eye being the body, the window into the body. He says, your eye is the lamp of your body. When your eyes are healthy, your whole body is full of light. But when they're unhealthy, your body is full of darkness. And so here we have this aspect of seeing. And this is so typical of Jesus. The whole teaching of Christ is meant to help us to have a new way of seeing. He's not telling us what to see. He's helping us to see a new way of seeing. And when we see things in this new way, through this transformational experience of walking with Christ, we begin to see the beauty in everything around us, the interconnectedness of everything. And we begin to realize that there's no distinction between anything. What I do to you affects so many other people. What I do to the environment affects everything else. We're all interconnected. And when we begin to see this, we begin to see the light. The light is a positive sense, right? But when we're blind, when we don't see how we're interconnected, when we don't see how my actions affect this person, affect that person, and how there's this ripple effect of energy into the world, it becomes difficult to see love in action. We start to divide things instead of bring them together. And so that's how our body becomes full of the darkness. It's good and bad. What are you letting in? Do you have eyes to see? Are you seeing the beauty in the world? Are you becoming transformed through this new way of seeing God and love in action? Or have you been missing it entirely? Have you been kind of consumed with the darkness, right? The distractions and the other things. And so that's what this parable is talking about. When you are able to do that, by honestly desiring it, that contributes to a new way of seeing, which creates this sort of purity of light within us. And then we're able to let that light shine out of us into the world and everybody around us. So consider which one you've been lately, and consider which one you want to be. And I'll see you right here tomorrow morning. I love you guys. We'll see you next time. Take care.